I'm not seeing the attendee number growing any, so I think we'll open this school board special session of the Montoursville Area School District Board of School Directors on this Tuesday, November 4th, 2020 at 5:45 p.m. Actually, this time, Brandy, would you take a roll call on attendance?
Sorry, I couldn't get on mute to come. Mr. Albert.
Here.
Dr. Beery.
Here.
Mr. Kunkel.
Here.
Mrs. Marriott.
Here.
Dr. Mathers.
Here.
I'm showing Mr. Ruffing as absent.
Correct.
Mr. Schimmel.
Here.
Mr. Snell.
Here.
And Mr. Ulmer.
Mr. Ulmer, present.
Okay, with that, we'll initially here, we're going to add a couple of items to the agenda. We have two student hearings tonight that we had adjudication on, and we'll be making motions on that. So we'll add those two items to the agenda. And Fred, do we want a motion to now to add those?
I think
It's one of them.
yeah, I think Mrs. Basin can just read that item and it can be considered added to the agenda.
Okay,
We would add it as G2, adopt the adjudication in student matters and discipline for student number 2021-001 and 2021-002. May I add that to the agenda?
yes, you may. And Fred, do we need action on that to add it? Was it in?
I'd say it's in.
Okay, all right. Then with that, at this time, then we'll take public comment on the main item that was published, the action that the board will take on certifying regarding the PIAA COVID certifications for fitness for teams to participate. We'll take action on that. And since the student discipline items have been added comment could be made. If there's something relevant to add to that. The public comments tonight are for agenda items only. So with that, Sebastian, if you want to open the floor to public comment.
Okay, at this time, if anyone from the public wants to speak, you may do so by raising your hand. You can raise your hand by clicking on the icon on your screen that looks like a hand. If you see any hands raised, we will go down the list alphabetically and allow you to speak one at a time. We just ask that you please state your full name and address before doing so.
Okay, Sebastian, not seeing any hands being raised. We'll close the public comment section and let's move on to the agenda items. And I'd ask our superintendent to walk us through those items.
Sure. Under G1, motion for the Montoursville Area School District Board of Directors, in light of the district's contact tracing efforts of all potential exposure, certify that our high school sports teams scheduled for activities on November the 4th through November the 10th meet the requirements of the PIAA COVID-19 certification requirements for athletic fitness.
Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Do we have a second on that?
Scott, I'll second.
Questions or discussion?
Mr. Holland, I have a question for you that I just thought of. On a special meeting, is it required that we read the announcement of the special meeting?
You mean that what was published?
Correct.
No, that does not need to be read at the meeting.
Okay.
All right, we have a
Dave?
motion and a second. Questions or discussion on the G1?
Dave, can you clarify exactly what the board is voting on here?
The building principal in this case for the high school sports would certify that our athletes are, I guess, fit in terms of COVID to participate. And there's the questionnaires they go through and they sign off and all that kind of thing. And the board
That's not what we're
will,
voting on right now.
G1. Yeah, we're voting on G1, the certification.
Christina, I thought Christina read that, the adjudication.
She read them, but they'll be G2 and G3.
No, just G2.
Oh, I thought we were going to separate those. Did we want separate adjudications? I believe we did, didn't we?
No, it was the same, but I thought that's what we're voting on now.
No, G1 on the agenda is the certification for PIAA.
Okay,
Okay.
go ahead and answer Dottie's question, then I have a question.
So anyway, Dottie, Dan was basically in two worlds. We had our motion last week and said essentially that he wasn't sure he could live in those two worlds. He felt essentially caught between two criteria. And so we said, okay, then we understand. We won't put you in a position to, we won't put you there. The board will certify this on your behalf. And so the period actually for that to end would actually be, I believe it's November 8th, but we'll run it right up to the November 10 board meeting. And after that point, then Dan is, he's now working in the new paradigm, the new criteria. It's a different scenario for him. So he just was uncomfortable being caught between both worlds. And that was fine. So the board, we passed the policy and all the criteria. And so we're acting on that in his stead. Essentially, we're really affirming that everything that the administration is doing is proper, it's accurate, it's correct, and incredible. And we're telling the PIAA, we're affirming this, that our students are fit and ready to play.
Wait, can you read that verbatim again? I mean, are we saying that we're certifying that none of our athletes have COVID?
No, we're certifying that they're fit. There's things that there's things that people won't know. We know there's students that probably have COVID and we don't know that. We can't speak to that. We can only speak to what we know, and that is based on what the administration has done in terms of the contact tracing and identifying students and that need separated and all that kind of thing. So we're certifying that this is good through the 10th, because again, Dan was caught in two criteria, and he just was uncomfortable having to straddle that fence, if you will. And so he said, okay, that's fine then. So this is essentially the same motion as the other night. It just accomplishes the same thing, that we're telling the PIAA, and I would sign off on that document as the board representative, that we're certifying our student athletes are fit to play. To the best of our knowledge, they are fit to play. They meet the criteria for being allowed to step onto a sports field.
Does anybody have that in front of them, the certification sheet?
No, because
Does
I'd like to see verbatim what it says.
Well, the reason why I'm asking is because I'd like to have the header above the questions that are asked of the students. I'd like to have that read. I mean, I've read it. I've read the whole thing, but I don't have it in front of me at the time. It's in my email.
Yeah, and let me, I will forward, Sebastian, I'll forward this to you. Let's see, I'm going to forward this to you now, and this is what I signed for last week's activity. So you can go ahead and display that.
Yep. Okay, well, where would you like me to focus this, Ron?
Take it to the header that's above the questions.
This area here?
It's not moving on my screen. Can you, oh, you're up, you've got it too far. No, take it down.
Oh.
Okay, right there. If
You
you
might-
see, you took it too far there, Sebastian.
Yeah, I think
Right
there's
there.
a lag between you and me.
If you see the header above the questions, it says, this is to certify that the following were screened for COVID-19 symptoms. Nope, that isn't it. It's above it's the header right above the questions.
Says we will be using the temperature check, but also may include any or all of the following. That one?
Yes, that's the one. That's the one that I have a question about, because the way I'm reading above there, they want the temperature check, but it's our decision to ask the questions, because we may also include any or all of the screening questions listed below per school. So I think we're going by certifying. We could just take the temperature, and the way I'm reading it, we'd be good with certifying with just the temperature, but we're going above that by also asking the question. Am I correct?
My understanding that this is the form that Dan will attest to when he is doing, when he is certifying this, when he's signing this instead of me. And so all of these things that are in play for him, and he has to sign on the dotted line that these things are true. So
For the PIAA.
Yes.
But those questions appear to me to be not a requirement by the PIAA. It's just something extra that we are doing to make sure we're being safe.
Well, that's for sure, Ron. Those questions are pretty common. You go to a number of places, doctor's office, and they'll ask some of these questions, but not all of them. So, yeah.
But the point I'm trying to make, those questions aren't a requirement to ask. We could actually certify with just the temperature check.
That's how I
So
read
we're
that
going
too,
above.
Ron. I mean, may also seems like that's optional.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. We're going above what is required by the PIAA. And if Dan can be certain that these questions are answered, then we can be certain to give him the authority to certify it. In other words, we're taking with your signature, Dave, we're certifying that to the best of our knowledge, our kids are going into sports activity safe.
Yeah, yes, into essentially, we're saying that we believe that our coaches, our principal are taking all these steps. Our confidence, we can't do these things ourselves, obviously. So we believe that they are doing these things, and we're willing to go out and sign on the dotted line that our coaches and administration are doing this.
Well, I don't think that you're, two concerns I have here is, number one, you're not saying to the best of my knowledge, you're saying this happened. They are taking it, and you're not witnessing that they are taking the temperature. So I would even have a concern with Dan signing this. As I, talked to Dave earlier, I said the coaches should be signing this. They're the ones that have to attest they're taking the temperatures. But he said they could.
The
And I looked on
PIAA,
the
yeah, the
PIAA
PIAA,
website, and I couldn't find anything that lists requirements for us to certify.
well, the
So
PIAA doesn't want the coaches signing this. They want the one responsible for the sports team, which is the building principal in our case. Now, I
Well,
can't
wouldn't-
say that, I don't know that other schools do it differently, Dottie, they may. I just know how we are
Yeah.
doing it because the high school sports come under Dan's umbrella. And it's an area of responsibility for him. That's why he's been doing it.
And what happens if a coach misses a kid and the kid has a fever and they go to play and then they give the other team COVID? Who's liable there? If you don't actually see it being done, but you're signing off on it.
Well,
I know it's a what if, but it's a what if.
it's probably,
Did this
it's probably it's on a probability basis, it's probably just as, it goes along the lines of what's the probability that actually would happen, that somebody, what's the probability that the coach would not, wouldn't do what he's supposed to do. I know that Dan has tremendous confidence that the coaches are trying to hold their kids' feet to the fire, and they're asking these questions. They're doing the temperature checks. So this is essentially, it's an expression of confidence in what we're doing and doing it right. And I'm willing to sign on the line.
I understand that. I don't have confidence in Dan or in the coaches, but that's not what you're signing. You're not saying I have confidence. That's not what you're signing. That's not what it says.
And I'm going to kind of piggyback on what Dottie is saying, just coming from a teacher perspective and having, students being sent to school having had Tylenol put in them so that they don't show a fever and so forth. I'm not doubting that the coaches and Dan aren't doing everything possible. However, I'm just thinking, a player wants to play and that's just a concern of mine.
Understood?
Well, and let's be honest about the motivation for the players to be honest with all these questions. I mean, if you know that saying yes to any of these questions gets you not playing.
Yeah, that was my point. That's exactly my point, Susan.
And probably wouldn't hold up in court, in a court battle, but do the students, the athletes, do they have a form that they fill out and sign answering these questions, Dan?
Well, Dan's not on tonight.
Oh, he's not? Well, does
No.
anybody know if the athletes, when they're questioned by the coaches, do they sign anything where, the coaches sure as heck don't know if they're lying. So the only thing the coaches really have to go by is the mandatory thing by PIAA, and that's the temperature check.
Ron, when they go into practice or to any game, they have to scan a little thing with their phone and answer the questions on their phone, and then they get their temperature checked. At least that's how they're doing it in junior high.
Brandy, does that mean there is a record of that then?
I believe there is a record of those. I don't do that part of it, but that's my understanding of it all.
but then again, like I kind of alluded to, I don't know, being juveniles, how much that'd hold up in court if they lied to one of them questions.
Yes, Ron, there is a record of it. In this form that you're looking at, I just got off the phone with Dan. This is a PIAA form. We did not add those questions. That is on their form.
I think I can stop this whole process. I believe that this is, as Dan would tell me here, I believe we are outside of the window of our 2 cases in the high school, and therefore he would be able to sign this.
My understanding was it wouldn't be till the 8th.
No, according to the Department of Health now, all of a sudden it's the 5th. So we don't have anything, I don't believe, going on the 5th. I think that's right. So I believe what he can share now is that he would be the one who can sign off on this at this time.
Okay, and then that's really what this was all about, was getting past that initial period, that transition. And frankly, if Dan's at a point where he's now okay to be in this new realm, then this motion really can be withdrawn. If the one that made it would like to withdraw it, it's no longer necessary.
Ben, I think you were the one who made the motion.
Am I reading
Yeah.
it right, Christina?
That's correct.
All right, I'll withdraw.
And Scott would need to also withdraw.
Yep, I'm good. Withdraw.
Okay, all right. So what are you saying, Christina, that we have a different tune from DOH? Oh, I won't go, never mind, I won't go there.
So,
All right,
yeah,
all right, would
that's, none of us need another 7.5 hours to discuss it, so.
No. All right, Christina, would you move us on to the student adjudications?
Absolutely. G2, adopt adjudication in student matters and discipline for 2 students, and they are 2021-001 and 2021-002.
Move to approve. Second.
Any questions or discussion on this?
I just want to say I'm back. I got dropped by the internet.
Ron, we're on G2 and G2 for the student adjudications. We have a motion and a second. Do you have any questions or anything?
No.
Okay, then we're ready for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Okay, ayes have it. With that, there's no more items on the agenda, and then with that, is this special session, they only had the two items. With that, we can take a motion to adjourn.
Move
Really?
to adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, meeting is adjourned. Good night, folks.